Can you all hear me or too far? Okay. Today we're going to be discussing a very important topic, honestly, for all of us, by our brother Sharif Assad. He's going to bless us with talk about our communication, which is, honestly, it's a huge issue that we have to deal with in our church. So with Abuna's blessing, Sharif, اتفضل. مش كده؟
I want to thank Abuna for allowing me the blessing to be with you today. And I want to thank each of you for allowing me the blessing to just talk to you today as well. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, one God, Amen. So I'm hoping that today is not a talk by myself. I hope that this is more of a discussion together, because I want us to all learn together. I was told that there's a challenge with regards to communications, and we could all improve communications, including myself first. And as being a shepherd, our Lord Jesus Christ really taught us shepherding first. He was the first shepherd. He was a great shepherd. He wasn't just a good shepherd. He was a great shepherd. And what's a shepherd? A shepherd is someone who takes care of his flock. Our sheep is our children, whether it's our children at home, our children in the service, or just our children. And you tend to them, and you take care of them by feeding them, by guiding them, by loving them, and also by making sure that they're taken care of from a safety and security standpoint. That's what a shepherd does. Usually in the old times, the occupation of being a shepherd was a very important occupation. A shepherd would handle typically 50 to 100 sheep. And without that shepherd, the sheep tend to die. I don't know if you knew that. The sheep actually tended to die if you don't have a shepherd. So, tending to the sheep, it's a critical job, critical occupation. And it's a very important occupation for each one of us. So each one of us is shepherd. And not only each one of us, anybody that in church that has children, they're a shepherd. They're entrusted. They have an entrustment of the most important entrustment that God has, which is his children. So I'm going to discuss three things. I'm going to discuss, there's 4 ways to be a shepherd. I'm going to discuss the leadership of a shepherd, and each one of us falls in the 4 ways. I'm going to discuss some inputs that we've received from our children, and I'm also discuss how we can reply to these inputs and how we can be a better shepherd. So I would like us also to discuss with each other any examples that you may have. I'll also bring up some examples. So the first question is, what is the meaning of life? I like this little cartoon. Meaning of life is very, very complicated. It takes a computer or something to figure it out, because each one of us has a different kind of complicated situation in our life. So life is very complicated. So it's a very difficult question to answer. But the end goal, we know the answer to the end goal. is to have salvation with our Lord Jesus Christ. So we can work backwards from that end goal. Is how do we achieve salvation? Okay, so this slide's a lot of things going on. But this is basically a slide that talks about the circle of life. And we're all going to go through this circle. We all started as young kids. And when we're young kids, and if you look at the young kids around us in the church, what are they doing with their parents? What are the young kids doing with their parents? Are they thinking by themselves, or are they dependent on the parents? They're very dependent on the parents, aren't they? They love the parents. The parents are their security. The parents are the safety. If you see a young child and you come to them and say hello, all of a sudden you see him running to dad's leg and grabbing dad's leg. Why? Why does that young child grab dad's leg? Security. So that's how we all started. We all went through that. We all started this way. And then as we grow to something called the adolescence, which takes us from about 10 years old to, roughly 24. Some of us take a little longer. But we go to adolescence, things change. And in adolescence, let me just grab my paperwork here because I can't see up there. I don't know if you could see that very well. But in adolescence, we start to build self-awareness. We start to build curiosity. We start to build independence. And as we get even more into adolescence, we become more curious. We become more rebellious. We become more curiosity. And things just change. And instead of us being dependent on our parents and grabbing that leg, what do we want to do at that point? 16, 17-year-old, what do they want to do? Tell me what your thoughts are. There's some, anybody? What's a 16, 17-year-old want to do at that age? They get their driver's license. What do they want to do? Huh? They want to do everything, independent, practice by themselves. They want to do everything by themselves. Now, let me ask you, the parents here that have 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, how much time do you spend with your kids compared to when you had the kids that were 10 years old? This is not a trick question. How much time do you get to spend with your kids? When they were 10 or 12 years old, you spent more time or less time than they are older? More time when they're younger, right? And when they're older, you're spending less time. Is that because you want to spend less time, or is it because they want to spend less time? Which one? Which one is it? Is it the parents that want to spend less time with the kids? Or is it the kids that want to spend less time with the parents? Which one? Which one? The kids. I hear unanimous. The kids want to spend less time with me, the parent. That's very interesting. How about the communication? Did the communication improve as it became 17, 18, 16, or did it decrease? Did the communication increase or decrease? Decrease. I have to agree with you. I also have teenagers. I definitely spend less time with them. It's not because of my choice. I want to spend more time with them. But I find them in their rooms a lot. I find them on the phone a lot. And when we do have time together, they're watching YouTube at the dinner table a lot. And to communicate, it's so difficult. I feel like there's a disconnect. I say X, he says Y. I say Z, he says A. Why is it so difficult at this point? So we're going to discuss that together. Because these kind of communications that we have at home are also the same type of communications we have in the service, believe it or not. Okay? And the approach requires us to understand the problem first. The solution requires us to understand the problem first. Do you agree? Okay. So, and by the way, when we reach the age of retirement, now we are completely different people than when we were teenagers, because now we're looking to serve, and now we learned from our parents, and it's a cycle. It's a cycle. It's a circle. Complete circle. Okay? Okay, so I kind of discussed adolescence. I'm going to kind of skim over this slide. But the important part of this slide is the following. We talked about why is there conflict? Why is there conflict? Why is there misunderstandings? Why can't I say something and that person understands me? And why is it the other side also feels that I don't understand them? Right? It's a two-way street. Every relationship is two-way. I can't have a relationship without two people. I can't have a relationship by myself. So, what happens is there's innovation and experience. احنا عندنا experience. الشباب عندهم innovation. Okay? So, how does that work? I tell Andrew, I advise you, Andrew, not to do X, Y, and Z because I have experience in this. Andrew says, I know you don't say this, Andrew, but Andrew says, Uncle, you may have that experience, but I have a better way to do it, or have a better idea, and I know how to do this. So Andrew is doing innovation. He thinks just because of my experience doesn't mean I've covered all the bases. And he thinks he could find a better way to do it. But because of my experience, I'm going to be a little bit stubborn. I'm going to say, Andrew, this is going to burn you. If you touch it, it's going to burn you. I felt it in the past, and it burned me. It's going to burn you. He says, Uncle, I know how to do it without having it burn me. I know how to do it without having it burn me. So we have this conflict. I want to advise as a parent. I want to advise, but the youth, do they want to listen to your advice? Huh? No. Are they tired of listening to your advice? Are the youth tired of listening to your advice? You tell me. Are you guys tired of listening to the adult advices? I want to hear from you guys. The answer is yes. I know you guys don't want to listen. Andrew, am I wrong? Is there too much advice going on? Too much advice. Too much advice. كل شوية advice. كل شوية advice. Advice. Yusuf, is there a lot of advice going on? You getting advice? Huh? I'm not getting them in trouble. No, I'm the one who's saying it. I used to tell my parents, Baba, please don't advise me anymore. Too much advice. I remember that. I remember telling my parents this. I'm saying it. I know I'm putting you guys in the spot, but I'm saying it. Because that's what's happening. That's what innovation is, and that's what experience is. So you have the two. The two contradict each other. One wants to make something new, and one wants to stay with what's known. Does that make sense? Okay? That's why we have conflict. Okay. So now we're starting to learn the problem statement. All right. This actually came from youth. This slide actually came from youth. So, I'm going to go through this, and I want to hear your opinion as I go through this. The first point says, my blank don't know how to communicate. I want to hear your opinion. What does it mean when a youth says, my blank, my parent, my servant, whatever, my teacher, an adult, don't know how to communicate? How does this occur in our homes? How is it that we don't know how to talk? We know how to talk. But what does it mean they don't know how to communicate? مين قال كده؟ Martha. أيوة Martha. They're not listening. So Martha, you just took me to my last slide. I'm going to go to my last slide, and I'm going to come back to this slide. I'm going to go to my last slide. Okay. Thank you, Martha, for taking me to my last slide. How do we communicate if we're not... Martha, communicate. My understanding is communicate, my brain says to talk. But you said listen. Huh? Yeah. Right, Heidi. But who should start listening? Entiolti us. Esmike, I don't know your name. I'm sorry? Ellen. I love what you said, Ellen. Ellen says us. So this is a very difficult question I'm asking because most of the adults will say, no, ابني هو المفروض يسمع كلامي. هو المفروض يقول حاضر. هو المفروض يبتدي. So let me say something. Proverbs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Proverbs. I love Proverbs. I don't know how many people love Proverbs, but I learn a lot from Proverbs. I learn a lot. 9 verses in Proverbs that talk about you must listen. And let me read those verses because they're very strong verses. Let me read some of the verses. Let me see here, my paper. Let me read these verses. Okay, I'll read it from here. Okay, the way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but a wise man listens to advice. The way of a fool is right in your own eyes, but the wise man listens to advice. That's number one. If one gives an answer before he hears, he is a folly and shame. If you give an answer before you listen, it's a shame. A fool takes no pleasure in understanding, but only in expressing his own opinion. He doesn't care to understand, but he wants to make sure you hear him first. Okay? Cease to hear instruction, my son, and you will stray from the words of knowledge. Again, not listening. Making your ear attentive to wisdom and inclining your heart to understanding. Where there is no guidance, a people falls, but in an abundance of counselors, there's safety. Abundance of counselors, safety. Again, listening to others. Even a fool who keeps silent is considered, I love this one. Listen to this. Even a fool who keeps silent is considered wise. Wow. Wow, I love that. Even a fool is silent, is considered wise. When he closes his lips, he is deemed intelligent. Okay, so I don't need to continue this, but I think the point is very clear in Proverbs. The fact that it repeats something many times in many different ways, I guess it means it's important, a little bit of important. I think it's important. I was told one time, and I learned this when I got a little bit older, and I wish I learned this when I was younger, honestly. I really wish I learned this when I was younger. I was told that the rule is to listen 90% and talk 10%. And when I was first told that, I thought, wow, that's a big difference. It's not 50-50. It's not 60-40. But I need to listen 90% and talk 10%. And the Bible is telling me to do the same. And the Bible is telling me to do the same. So the Bible actually has a secret to our success. If we follow it and if we see it. If we follow it and we see it, I honestly guarantee you, anything that you do in life, the secret's right there. This is the secret formula, right here. Secret formula. At work, at home, in the service, people that you deal with. This is the secret to being very successful with anybody, even with your kids. So, Ellen, you mentioned that we should start. Why should I start? I'm older. I'm the adult. I'm the father I'm the mother. Why should I start by listening first? The Bible also teaches us the one that's bigger must be humble to the one that's smaller. Huh? The one that's taller must be humble to the one that's shorter. The one that's stronger must be humble to the one that's weaker. That's how the Bible teaches us. That's what the Bible teaches us. So why should I start? Huh? Say again, Heidi? Wow, perfect. Perfect answer. Heidi says, I should start because I am the role model. I'm the leader. If I lead this way, then they will follow me in the same way. But if I don't lead that way, they will follow the wrong way. You're 100% right. You're 100% right. If you want to be a leader and you want to be a role model, then you must lead by action. And by leading by action is that you got to start. And that's what the Bible teaches us. That's what humility is. Humility is that we start. We start. You first, my friend. That's what humility is. You first, my friend. Okay? So we got to start. And it's not easy. What we're talking about here today is very difficult for us to do at home. Okay? Especially if we're Saida, just like, I'm Saidi also. My grandparents are from Asyut. And I made a lot of mistakes because I have some Saidi in me, a lot of mistakes. And I'll tell you about my mistakes. But let's discuss back where we were. Okay, so each one of us falls in one of these styles, and sometimes we are between two styles, and sometimes we transition from one style to the next by learning the hard way. Okay, so we have 4 types of shepherding, 4 types of leadership styles, okay? 4 types. And it goes by, there's an arrow that goes to demandingness, more demanding, okay, more demands. The arrow goes to the right with more demands, and closer to the axis is less demands. And then going up is responsiveness, meaning like more interaction. More interaction. Responsiveness is like interaction, okay? So style number 1 is neglectful. That's a leadership style. Neglectful. That's simple. Neglectful means I don't care. عايز يطلع يطلع. عايز يخش. عايز يكسر مش عارف ايه يكسر مش عارف ايه. I don't care. That's called neglectful. As in, whatever happens, ريح دماغك. خليها تحصل. ريح دماغك. It's okay. And that's a style. Some people are like that. Okay? That is, in my opinion, the most destructive style. In my opinion, that's the most destructive style. Because if you don't care, then you don't love. We parent, and we are strict, and we do these rules, and we put a lot of energy and effort. It's because we love. It's because we love. At least I hope so. Okay? So, the neglectful one, I don't want to spend a lot of time on. Now, the one on permissiveness, permissive allows the child to have everything. I'll give you an example, a personal example that I've met. I had a friend of mine who's a deacon in the Heikel, and he's having a difficulty with his son. And this person is working like crazy hours at a gas station. He's not like a professional or anything. They're barely making it at home. But what he does is he gives his son, he has an iPhone 6, his son gets an iPhone 10. Okay? He has a rotten car, his son gets a BMW. Okay? So he's giving his son everything, and he has nothing. Does that make sense? And he comes to me and says, I'm شعر family. My son is not respecting me at all. ده أنا الأسبوع اللي فات لسه شاري له عجلة ب 350 جنيه or $. Okay? I'm thinking in my mind, Are you trying to buy his love? Or are you trying to buy his respect? By giving him? Help me understand something. If I'm rich, can I buy love? Huh? Huh? Can I buy love? Can I buy respect? I have money, I can pay for it. Huh? Can I do that? Then why does this person believe that he can do that? How does he think that he can buy his son's respect by buying him stuff? I don't understand that. Till today, I don't get it. But there's a lot of parents who do this, by the way. This is not an isolated incident. Heidi, what do you think? It doesn't work. I love that. You're right. He didn't have time because he's working a lot of hours and he's getting a low-paid job, but he's doing the best he can as a parent. Hayamile. He has no other options. You're right. But unfortunately, it's not working. It's not working, and that's a difficulty that occurs a lot. Unfortunately, we have to work 2 jobs. We have to work a lot of hours. We want a certain life, but then our kids, I'm not sure where the kids stand in this equation. What happens to the kids in this equation? It becomes very difficult. So that's exactly right. So that's a permissive version, and it's unfortunate that that person's impermissive because he's forced to be that way. He's forced to be that way. Now, I want to apply that to our service. By us, you just told me that you can't buy love with money. Can we buy love in the service by just giving gifts all the time? Huh? What do you guys think? Can we build good relationships? Just, Andrew, if I give you gifts all the time in the service, would that buy the respect? Huh? No? I agree. It would not. It would not. So same thing. Obviously, we want to acknowledge our youth. We want to reward our youth when it's appropriate to reward them. Otherwise, it doesn't have a meaning. If I am giving you something all the time, all of a sudden it loses its value. Does that make sense? It loses its meaning. So it has to be appropriate, and it has to be at the right time. At the same time, what really works with the youth, as Heidi mentioned, is our hearts and our love with them. And not our words. Not our words, but how we make them feel. How we make them feel, they will always remember that Sunday school teacher. They will always, you mentioned to me one time that you had a Sunday school teacher that you will never forget. Because of what he said to you or because how he made you feel? How he made you feel. How did he make you feel that made you remember him? Just curious. Share with us. What did he make you feel? The care and the love. And he was there for you, right? So it's not the words. It's not words, it's not money, but how you make them feel. How you make them feel. And that takes us to the authoritarian and authoritative. Okay, I have to confess. I made a mistake. I used to be authoritarian. Used to be, until I learned the hard way. Authoritarian and authoritative are very similar. And a lot of us, unfortunately, Egyptians and Egyptian society, we grow up with authoritarian. I'm sorry to say that. A lot of us, my parents were like that. Is that true? Is that true? Yeah, my parents were like that, and I started like that because I got to learn from my parents. That's how I learned. Nobody took me to school how to raise kids. I never went to school on that, so that's what I learned. And all of us learn the same way. And so authoritarian and authoritative are very similar, but there's one key difference. There's one key difference. Authoritarian It's a one-way communication. يعني a one-way communication. يعني if I tell Michael, Mike, when I say to get up, you better get up. And I don't want to hear you talk back. الكلمة حاضر. No talk back. Okay? It's good to be حاضر, of course. It's good to have obedience. But it's also very important, as we discussed and Martha discussed, that we got to listen. And that two-way dialogue will help us understand and will help us understand the problem. And because we understand the problem, now we have an opportunity to find a solution for the problem. If we never listen and have that two-way dialogue, and remember we talked about Proverbs having many verses about listening. If we don't listen and we expect just harder and no discussion, you're never going to have the two-way dialogue. You're never going to see the problem. And you're going to have a breakdown in communication, breakdown in relationship, breakdown in respect, and breakdown in love. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. How many of you can work in a single-way relationship? Single-way relationship. Who can do that? That's difficult. It's difficult. Okay? It's difficult. And that's typically I made that mistake. Okay? I used to be very authoritarian until I made that mistake and learned from it. So now I am trending to the authoritative, okay? Which is I want that dialogue. And by the way, that dialogue, how do we do that dialogue? How? Is that dialogue best done in one-on-one or a group setting? Tell me how. We can talk about all this stuff, but if we don't understand how, we're not going to go to the next step. How do we do it? I want to hear from you. How do we get that dialogue? It has to be one-on-one. Even in the service. Even in the service. في ولد دخل Sunday school بشورتس. ههزقه قدام other kids? What are you doing? Get out of here. Go change or something. Is that right? What do you guys think? What does everybody think? Huh? He came into church with shorts. What should I do? I have options. I can attack him in front of the whole church. What does everybody think of that? Should I do that? Huh? Bad idea? I agree. Abuna Teofilos. Huh? What should we do this kid? The bow. The bow. But there's different ways to approach. If لو دبحته مش هخش كنيسة تاني. مش هيجي كنيسة تانية بقول لك دبحته. You're a martyr. He'll go to church in heaven. We're short, يا ابونا هيطلع. So there's different ways to deal with that. And that's the part that we have to really try to focus on, is how do we deal with things that cause us, to light up quickly? And how do we deal with it in a calm way without that child being embarrassed and lose his credibility within his peers? Because once he loses his credibility with his peers, he doesn't want to come back. He's ashamed. He feels bad. He doesn't want to show his face again. And not only that, how is his relationship with you? Did you make a good relationship with him? Do you think you made more trust, more respect, more love? Do you think he's going to come to you ever again? You just cut your relationship with him. That's a bad strategy. The best strategy, as everybody mentioned, is to take him in a polite and also conspicuous way. Conspicuous means without everybody noticing. And just have a very soft chat. Habibi, we have to respect the church. I know you came from outside with shorts. Just remember next time to come with pants. Thank you. Let's see what happens next time. And what happens if it doesn't happen? What if it happens again? Sometimes it happens again. What happens then? What should we do then, in your opinion? أنت دلوقتي كلمتيه أو أنت كلمته. And repeat it. And I'm just giving this an example. And repeat it second time. What should we do second time? What's your opinion? What's the next step? Huh? Do it again, same thing, same talk. Okay, that's absolutely an option. Second strike. Okay, second try. Okay, I agree, Irene. Talk to him again. So what else can we do? That's another option. Martha, what do you think? Okay, so I like to talk to his parents. I like to use that as last resort. Why? Why do I want to talk to parents last resort? Samuel's got a good point, but why? It could kill the relationship because of trust. Huh? Mm-hmm. 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 You lose the trust. And I like what you said also, Dr. Eva. I'm very careful about losing my trust. At any age, I'm very careful about that. So as a last resort, it's a possible option to consider. But I like the option of listening again. And what Martha's saying, sit with that child and listen to them as to why this is happening. We don't do that enough. I've been talking about listening this whole time, and I guarantee you, many of us are going to walk away from here and still not listen. Okay? Fadai. So Heidi says they don't care about the gifts. So Heidi's, okay, I want to talk about this as a group. This is an important point, Heidi. I love the fact you brought this up. Remember that father that was giving his son the $350 bicycle and the car? They don't care about these gifts as much as they care about, your point is 100%, and it's not easy for us to just talk about it, but we're going to try, okay? I want us all to understand something very important. The money does not buy respect and does not buy love. Love buys love. Respect gets respect. Actually, Romans, a long time ago, they said if you want respect, you have to give respect. It was a Roman saying. Respect begets respect. Respect begets respect. It just does. Love begets love. And God gave us the first love, okay? He showed us the first love. He's the first one who showed us how to love, okay? Of course, we all understand that. But respect begets respect, and love begets love. So, this, Heidi puts an example for us to help her understand this also, because this happens to every one of us. The child doesn't care about the items we give him. Okay, we understand that that makes sense. That makes sense. It's not about the gift I give them. What should I do next? This child screams in my face or even spits at my face. Ooh, he spits in my face. What should I do? Let's help. Let's all jump in and help. What should I do next? Irene. She said the word. What was the word that she said? Oh, you hit it on the head. You hit it on the head. Look, I'm not saying that all of us are not building relationships, but the golden key to respect and trust and love is to do exactly what Irene said. You got to build a personal relationship with each one. If I don't have a personal relationship with Gabe, he doesn't know me. I don't know him. Why should I give him respect? Why should he give me respect? But if I have a good relationship with Gabe, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? He's going to say good morning to me. I'm going to say good morning to him. I'm going to say hi to him. He's going to say hi to me. I'm going to acknowledge him. I'm going to give him a pat in the back. He's going to say, hey, uncle, can we do this together? Yeah, let's do this together. He will never say that to me if I don't have a relationship with Gabe. Impossible. Impossible. And as a matter of fact, with that relationship, if I'm in class with Gabe, because of that relationship alone, Gabe is going to do what for me in class? What's Gabe going to do, Osama, if he has a strong relationship with you? Is he going to respect you in class or not? For sure, he doesn't want to disappoint. Gabe will not want to disappoint. He will not want to disappoint. Who has, just a second, Mike. Who has Cross, Jack, and John in their class? Does anybody know those kids? Cross, John, there's no way you don't know them. Who has those kids? They're about 7 years old, 8 years old. I think so. And Chad film? And there's no way you don't know Jack. The one with the curly long hair? Okay. Do you know them? You know them? Okay, you're smiling for a reason. Because I'm smiling the same way you're smiling. Tell me about them. I love that. You're very sweet. You're very sweet. We're both smiling. Okay, he's very nice, by the way. What was your name? John? Jonah. Jonah, they're very energetic. And they're very kind, Mahoma. So, what kind of energetic do you mean, John? I agree. But they're good kids. They're good kids. If you gain their respect, will they listen to you? Huh? Okay. So there was one time, Cross, literally, had crayons across this entire bench while we're praying in church. Okay? It was a complete mess here with crayons, and he's just coloring, and complete mess. And we're praying, and they're playing with crayons, and they're not even praying. Okay? And the thing is, I told Cross in his ear, I said, Habibi, could you just clean this mess, please? Now, he had two options. What was his two options? Or he could throw it everywhere, right? He could throw it at the person in front of him. Mumkin, right? I mean, he's got that personality to do that, right? He's got the person. And he could also probably get John and Jack to do the same thing, right? They're a gang, those three guys, right? They're together. But they're wonderful kids, right? They're very good friends, right? Yeah. They're like a shilla. So the thing is, again, I learned with respect. They will do things, Yosema, that they don't really want to do because they have the respect. Jonah, if you have respect from those guys, they will run the whole class. They will take care of your whole class. Yani mesal, if Jonah has respect of those three guys, the whole class will follow those three guys. You agree? You agree? They will follow those three guys. And if those guys are quiet and respecting Jonah, everybody in the class will follow those three guys to respect Jonah. I love that. You empowered them. And by the way, those boys, they love to be empowered. Yeah, they love to be empowered. So that's you're raising them. You're raising them. And anytime you raise someone and you give them that empowerment, you just gain a point of respect. You do. You gain a point of respect. How I gained their respect was actually before this discussion. We were playing basketball with the youth, and they took one of our balls and threw it into the canal. There's like a ditch back here. We lost the ball, and they threw it out there. And I said, Cross, do you know where our ball is? He said, no. I said, look, Habibi, we really need that ball. Can you get with Jack? And what was your name? He said, oh, my name is John. Okay, so now I know your three names. Okay? Can you three of you guys go give me the ball? And you guys are good guys. Go get the ball. All three of them, they went hunting for the ball in the woods. And they came back, I have the ball. And the thing is, what helped a lot is you know their names. You know their names. I keep telling my Sunday school teachers, first day, we need to know everybody's names. Why is that so important to know the names? Why is it so important to know the names? Why do you think it's important to know your name, Christine? If I don't know your name. Exactly. How can you build a relationship without knowing the name? Hey boy. Hey girl. How do you feel when I call you girl? Hey girl, come over here. You like that? Simple. Anytime you know the names, you've started the relationship. And you know what? The person in front of you that sees that you call them by the name, this is a big deal. It's like 90% of the way. 90%. You're almost there just by knowing the name. You're almost there. Simple task. But it's not easy for all of us to remember every name. But the best way to remember the names is to do what Irene said. What did you say we should do, Irene? Build those relationships. For sure. For sure. Okay? So let's keep going. I'm sorry I'm taking so much time. But I don't really care about going through all the slides as long as we benefit at the end of the day. So I'm sorry for taking so much time. So, okay. So we talked about authoritative. I want to just quickly go through this slide, and I want to discuss the second bullet. And it should say don't use. Instead of says use, it should be don't use. And one thing I want to advise you is how to communicate in a different way. Because whenever you tell someone, you will do this because I said so, what happens immediately with that person's mind? If I tell Samir, you will do this because I said so, yes, Samir. Boom, you feel something go up. What is it? He gets defensive. Yeah? Because I'm trying to, who am I to do that? Right? So, when we say, you will do this because I'm the Sunday school teacher, you will do this because I'm the parent, you will do this because I am the authority, you'll do this because I'm bigger, I'm taller, I'm older. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. That's not a good reason of why I should do this. I'm the parent or the teacher, you're not. They won't engage. They just won't accept it. So don't use because I said so. Don't use you need to. Why? The Egyptian language and the American language, there are differences. And sometimes I notice this with my father. And I don't know if anybody else has noticed this, but my father will tell me, you need to do X a lot when I was young. By the way, I missed you, Michael. You had something to say. I apologize. Fadl. That's an important point. So what Michael's saying is, sometimes you have a child in your class that you don't know the background of what's going on at home. You don't know the background of what's going on at their school. You don't know the background. You don't know the background. And so you assume the background is similar to yours. And his background could be very unpeaceful. His background could be very depressing. His background could be things that if you would have known, you would have had a different perspective. Huh? Yeah. So the question is, how do we see? How? I agree. I agree. So relationship again. So we said listen, and we said relationship. Listen, relationship. To build a relationship, you have to do a lot of listening, okay? How many of you are familiar with because I said so, or you need to do this? How many of you have ever heard that? How many of you use that? I feel like that's an Egyptian language. It must have an Egyptian language, huh? Saidi? When you say you're doing it, what are you doing? I should nifham.
Sometimes that's it.
What do you say?
That's what I'm saying. That's it. Now, that's one word. That's what I use. When I came back later,
I used to do that.
that's not right.
Yeah.
Because they're going to get frustrated. We will lose communication, and they will hide it in their hearts. Maybe this time, because sometimes, like, I have something in my mind, I have another problem, and another time, it's too many reasons, but still,
It's still in there, and it's hard. I used to do that too. It's a mistake because you're not allowing the talk to waste talk. And also, we use a lot of, you need to do this. There's a better way of getting what you want. When you tell someone you need to do this, their defense automatically goes up because, especially as a teenager, especially, Samah, you have a teenager. I've got a teenager, I've got one in college. If you tell your teenager, you need to do X, اللي بيحصل. You also have a teenager, Osama. let's talk about that style. That's important. Guess what? I could tell you 100%. I could tell you 100% what the style is right now. Who's interested to hear? You want to hear the style? And these guys will agree with me. All these youth will agree with me. And you may not like it, and you may not agree with it, but this is the key, the golden key. Your kids don't want you to be the dad and mom at that age anymore. They want you to be their friend. What? What? أنا أبوه. أنا أمه. I can't be your friend. I'm your father, I'm your mother. You agree? Huh? Am I off or wrong? Right? I wanted my father to be my friend also. I told my father, Baba, just be my friend. Talk to me like a friend. Don't keep saying you need to do this. Talk to me like a friend. My father responded to me. How does my father respond to me? What do you say? What did my father say?
How I can do that?
That's exactly right. That's exactly how he responded. The response is very known. It's already known. أنا بابا. مرش أبا صاحبك. I'm your father. How can I be your friend? And that's typical Egyptian mentality, right?
But really, this doesn't apply to our generation.
I hope not.
Really trying hard
I hope not.
to friends so they can trust us with the big problem.
Yeah.
Behind it, we know what the consequences will be.
Yeah.
So we try hard.
Yeah.
We can't say it's apply to.
I'm sorry معلش أنا يعني قطعت شريف بس علشان أطلع أوزع لقمة البركة على الكوليدج قبل ما يمشوا. يعني في شوية بوينت عايز أقولها لكم يعني between the Egyptian culture and the American culture بس أهمهم يعني the most important thing to build a relationship between you and the spiritual kids as you do with your kids at home. يعني تعملوا علاقة شخصية بالذات يعني especially for the female servant and girls. البنت لما will trust you as a servant for her or as a godmother for her, she will talk about what's inside her. Even if she did something wrong, commit adultery. Let it put this way. She may not talk to her father of confession, she will talk to you as a servant. She may not talk to her mother or father at home, but she will talk to you as a female servant for her. So it's very important. As well also for the male servant. If you make a relationship, a good relationship with, as Sharif mentioned a while ago, with love and respect, he will talk to you with love and respect. ولove مش معناها دلع، لأن احنا ساعات بنفهم إن أنا أحبه ماشي يا حبيبي، ما تروحش الكنيسة، طب روح متأخر ماشي يا حبيبي، أنا صحيت متأخر المرة اللي فاتت يا ماما يا طنط، ولا ما قدرتش أجي ماشي يا حبيبي معلش. بلاش إيه معلش في كل حاجة. يعني الفيرم لاف زي ما بيقولوا بيبقى فيه فيرم بس هو لاف. الفيرم لاف يعني فيه فيرم بس لاف. واخدين بالكم؟ فإتس فيري امبورتنت. سكند، الأولاد اللي هم very يعني extremely as he mentioned some names، لازم تعرفوا لو هو صاحبك فعلا if he's your friend حقيقي he will open about what's inside his house. ممكن أبوه يكون بيضرب أمه، ممكن يعني ممكن يكون أبوه بيزعق في البيت كله، راجع من الشغل تعبان مش طايق الدنيا عمال واخدين بالكم؟ ما تعرفوش ايه اللي بيحصل. البيوت اسرار، الحيطان ياما مداريه، مش كنا بنقول كده؟ ها؟ فخلوا بالكم الولاد دول، الولاد الصغيرين بالذات ما بيعرفوش يعبروا، they cannot express. ما فيش عبره. بس كل حاجه في البيت، لو بابا بيضحك مع مامته هو عارف ان بابا هابي وماما هابي. لو بابا بيتخانق مع مامته في اوضه الولاد ما بيشوفوناش لما نتخانق، الولاد حاسين بكل حاجه وعارفين كل حاجه. واخدين بالكم؟ فخلوا بالكم ده كله بينعكس بترفلكت على الايه؟ على البيهيفير بتاعه في المدرسه وفي السكول ومع اصحابه وفي اي حته تانية بيروحها وفي الكنيسه. واخدين بالكم؟ فزي ما كانوا بيقولوا من شويه، ما تهاجموش، دونت اتاك هيم، لا خده على جنب احضنه حبيبي. مثلا زي ما قال له روحوا هاتوا الكوره، ولا مثلا يا حبيبي ما تلبسش شورت في الكنيسه، يعني اتس نوت ريسبكت. شوف الباقيين، انت يو ار رول موديل فور ذا اذرز. وبعدين اتكلم معاه بقى لما تصاحبه، هتتكلم معاه على البيت، هتتكلم معاه على بابا، هتتكلم معاه على ماما، هتتكلم يعني you will get involved with him. واخد بالك؟ ممكن طبعا لو الموضوع كبير قوي تبلغ يعني الكوردينيتور، تبلغ ابونا علشان لو في ابونا محتاج يزور البيت، لان ممكن الناس بيبقى خايفه على شكلهم ما بيقولوش لابونا ايه اللي بيحصل. فبالتالي ابونا ممكن يكون بيزور البيت وكل حاجه وقهوه وشاي وتاخر تمام ونقرا الانجيل مع بعض وباي باي باي باي، وما فيش حاجه. الشكل من بره حلو خالص ومن جوه في مشاكل كبيره. واخدين بالكم؟ فيعني ربنا يعوضكم طبعا على انصاتكم وتعبكم، وربنا يعوض شيف على المحاضره الجميله دي. معلش هستأذنكم عشان اطلع للكولج قبل ما يمشوا.
I think I got a time check, and I apologize I'm not able to finish, but I just wanted to make sure I end with 3 important points. And this is a big discussion. This is not a one-day, one-hour discussion. God willing, we'll have a workshop together and maybe get to know each other and discuss this further. That's what I'm hoping that we'll do. But I just want to close with 3 important points. One, Abuna mentioned, respect begets respect. Always remember this. The other thing is love begets love. And the third point, if we could walk away with the third point, it's the most important one, is that we got to do 90% listening and 10% talking. I think that's, if we can do that, you'll find that a lot of things are a lot more peaceful because you'll understand more. You'll be more wiser. As the proverb verse says, even the fool who listens is considered wise. That's kind of strange. Even the fool who listens is considered intelligent. Wow. So I guess listening is important. All right, thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
ربنا يعوض شريف وده بيقول يعني في لقاء تاني يعني هتكملوا فيه ان شاء الله. امين. الليل يا زوج سابت بيه. Be Christus ben noti. O King of peace, grant us your peace, establish for us your peace, forgive us our sins, for thine is the kingdom, the power, the glory, the blessing, the majesty forever and ever. Amen. O Lord, make us worthy to pray thankfully, our Father who art in heaven. Now, love of God the Father, the grace of His only begotten Son, our Lord God and Savior Jesus Christ, communion and the gift of the Holy Spirit be with you. Go in peace. May the peace of the Lord be with you. Amen. إذا بالسلام سلام الرب يكون مع جميعكم.
Thank you, Abuna, for the comments. Thank you.